2 of NPL. I'm Toby, and I'm gonna give you 6 games today of insane American PUBG action, and it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. I didn't get to watch the games last night, so it's gonna be fresh for me. Maybe some of the viewers out there will have seen it. If you guys are watching on YouTube, I do these games live on Twitch for both NPL, PL, and the Korean League. It's probably not the best schedule for American viewers right now. It's 4:45 in Europe, CST. Wherever you are, you can convert that to your own time. But we normally start around 2-3 o'clock European time, or I guess Central European time. And then if you want to watch it live, do come around. But we're gonna go live right now with the match, game number 1. Oink. Let's see. Decent plane. Everyone should be able to go pretty much where they want, unless if you're a multi-power team. It's always fun to see. Look at this. Rumblers, they're playing hard north with Vanquish. I don't think in any PL game that we've had 3 teams actually up here. But in any case, they go and, well, I mean, I guess they get blessed by the circle too. Genesis, the former Cloud9 team. They're, of course, looting inside of Pochinki. United, they're going to do their splits out on the eastern side. Stab is going to run, I guess, over to prison. Endemic, low-key, they're splitting out Georgepol. And as far as rotations go early on here, it's, I guess you can say it's pretty straightforward. I mean, rotate over Pochinki, rotate over Pochinki, rotate over school. It's still not guaranteed which side of the river we're going to be playing from, so it's really not that big of a deal, because you can always, there's so much room to rotate inside the circle on the east side, so it's not really, I mean, I would be surprised to see any team setting themselves up down here, for example, anticipating the circle to shift back towards them. So let's see. We don't really need to draw up that much for rotations on this circle in particular, because there's opportunities enough for most teams to make their way forward. The only thing is that this entire area, I can draw that up for you real quick. This entire area is very, very, very compound heavy. There's only, I mean, early on in the game, there's only, I would say, actually we should draw a little further down. I guess more like this. There's only really 1 or 2 spots you can play without having a compound that is viable. Shack and up here. Everything else, I mean, unless if you want to sit out in the open this early on, everywhere else you're pretty much forced to have a compound. So teams, I would assume, rotate early, take spots. You can see Bahawaga, nice reaction play actually, that they see the Lazarus guys leave, they go up and take their spot instead. A lot of teams committing early because there's really not a whole lot to play around. In the meantime, south we got Ghost, Envy, P1E, Riot, and Zenith. They're leaving late. Yep, they're gonna make their way on up. Again, come in late, wait for that next circle to shift, and then make your way forward. Should be just fine. The only thing is, already now, I mean, if you look up here, already now, everything is taken pretty much. You got the yellow house, you got the shacks around that. Well, not exactly the best places to sit, but everything is pretty much contested already. So if you're coming in late, it's gonna be hard to really take control. Endemic crash into Severny. That's early to do that. Actually drive through. Okay, so drive through on the eastern side. Makes sense. Oh, that's a fun shift. First of all, now we have this water pretty much in the center. Of course, there's more landmass down here, but also there's a lot more open field down here. Open field. Remember, we're not playing on the new Erangel yet, so there's no big dips or anything down here. It's just flat. Open. Everything down here. Open. Same thing on the northern side, really. I mean, everything, again, up here is pretty open as well, right? So, very interesting shift. There's obviously, I mean, you have, if you draw up the line, we got 3 teams on the southern side, and the last 13 are currently sitting either north or, well, far out of the circle. So, taking for granted that nobody will probably want to use the bridges, there's gonna be a big trafficking down this way, like a highway, full speed highway down this way. And whether they then stop on the edge or try to wrap around, I don't know, or maybe go inside, I don't know, but it's gonna be contested. I would actually assume, I was just gonna say, I would actually assume to see more teams decide to go around the backside. I think Loki is planning on doing that exact thing. SSG getting beat by United to the eastern side or western side of Yasnaya. Ooh, almost running into each other. Riot and Loki there. Rumblers, they go around the back. Smart rotations from them. Greedy split with no chance of resting. You can see, I think McCoy, yep, he comes up on a bike, goes in, wants to repark the bike, gets himself knocked. As he goes out to take the bike again, I think it's one of the NB players that ends up getting him down. So greedy three-way split. I mean, it's not really that greedy because it makes sense early, but that's of course the risk of keeping this split. McCoy gets flushed. Now they're sitting one guy in the yellows. That's a scary position to be holding as a solo player, especially if the circle comes down here. Wow. Okay, so everyone was north. We just talked about it. 3 guys south, right? Oops, sorry. 3 teams south. Circle shifts south. And by the time the circle is actually here, what was before 3 is now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 teams. So more than half the teams have managed to make their way south of the water. Just now be told that most likely now, it's gonna go back up here. For those of you guys who don't know how the circle water thing works, let me try and tell you. And this is, I mean, I have never had this 100% confirmed by any PUBG employees, but this is what everyone has told me that I've talked to about it. And this is the best confirmation that I've had. So the way it works with PUBG circles, and if there's a PUBG employee in my chat for whatever reason that can tell me it's not correct, you don't even have to tell me what is correct, but this is what I tell people. So if I'm told that this is not correct, then that's of course sad. But what I've heard unofficially is that around 30 circles every single time a new circle pops. 30 circles are generated, which means, let's just say 30 circles. They can be everywhere. Doesn't matter with the settings. Obviously the size matters of the circle, but it can be anywhere. And then based on the settings you have, land ratio, all these sort of things, it's gonna take the circle that fits the best with what settings you've applied. So let's say it has to go away from water, and there's a circle that is completely out of the water and a circle that has a little bit of water. It's going to take the one that is completely out. And when we see 30 circles in this, odds are that one of them is going to be having practically no water, right? Or very little at least. But that's why we see sometimes where it's like, oh my god, it's circle 4, it's not supposed to have any water at all. That's because out of the 30 circles that were generated, there simply was not a circle that didn't have any water. So that's what happens. It picks the one that has the best settings according to, or it picks the one out of the 30 circles that fits the setting that you have selected the best. And in this situation, I don't think you can place a circle anywhere. I don't think you can place a 4th circle anywhere. Maybe, like just on the edge down here, you can place it and it's gonna be excluded. But if there's gonna be water in no matter what, that setting priority goes off. If all of the circles have water, then it just says, oh, well, I guess then we just take something with water in it. And that's when it can go, like, not go away from water, and that can be really difficult, right? So in this specific scenario, while everyone probably assumes it's going to go north, I think some people are actually still going to play it from the south. We'll see, though. We'll see. And also, how do you cross north at this point? Riot, they're going to go take Russock. If I was them, I would set up somewhere around the water for anyone that wants to cross. Maybe have a 2-way split across. Lambalot, they might want to make a 2-way split on this side. Like, if you can control any of these 2 bridges right now, odds are you're going to get kills. Odds, like, if you can control the bridges and then in the meantime set up a perimeter on the northern side, you should be pretty well positioned for this next shift. Let's see, though. Let's see. P1E, 2-way splitting, at least for now. Yep, 2-way split. Zenith, 2-way split. They're just forced to crash into the southern side, hoping that the circle is going to go there. This is a really tough circle. Ghost crossing over. Good positioning for them. And now let's see. I honestly can't tell you. I would assume... You're a big boy now. Yeah, I guess so. I would assume that the circle goes here, but I actually don't know. This river is always... like, you never know what's going to happen. You see? There's going to be water in. And now the tricky thing is that with this shift, Circle 4 had that water rule, right? You see, technically it could have been up here. Like, if you take the size of this circle and put it up here instead, up here instead, it probably could have had less water in than what it does now. But because none of the 30 circles that were generated were up here, it's just gonna take the other one. I hope that makes sense to you guys. And I hope I'm not giving you fake info, because I'm very certain that that's actually how it works. So the circle has water, and now the issue is that this is circle 4 priority, right? Circle 5 doesn't have that land ratio thing. So the next circle could be like this. We won't know. As long as the center of the circle is actually on land, then that's pretty much how it is. Now let's see. So the circle is strangely enough not guaranteed to go over here, but there's a pretty damn big chance, like a very very big chance that it's going to go over here. If you compare the land masses and percentages and all that stuff. 3 teams playing on the east side. Remember that as long as there's anyone in Rozhok, you cannot do anything. Like here, this whole area becomes not unplayable, but really hard to play as long as there's a team in Rozhok, because obviously the reason you sit here is to make that push up the hill, right? You want to get up from here somehow. But as long as there's a team in Rozhok, pew pew pew, pew pew pew, pew 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 pew, they're gonna be shooting at you all the time, so you won't really be able to make that push northbound. So none of these teams, like, they get clustered here because they can't push in. As soon as they start moving this way, these guys are gonna start shooting. So they're forced to stay on the edge until Rozhok is shifted away from, because Riot ain't gonna move nowhere. They're not gonna go anywhere. Rumblers forced to crash in. Vanquish coming in from the south, forced to make a move forward as well. You can see VC and Mystery, they're probably saying, you know what, guys, I think we've reached a point of 5 teams in Rozhok. I think we should leave now. Like, this is about the time that we start leaving Rozhok. Understandably so as well. Compound completely open, but who can go there? I mean, it's like so far out in the open. There's a bit of a plateau here that you can play around. Oh, this shift is interesting. So it goes north. Fortunately, it excludes a lot of the water. But we have 4 teams down here that needs to cross as well. Ghost, they've managed to make their way further forward. Rumblers, they could probably try and cross. Yep, vehicles in the water. Try and cross, but they need to get the hell out of there, because right now, as we talked about, as long as there's people in Rozhok, you're going to be exposed. Get the hell away. They managed to run up. Really smart rotation. Actually, ooh, they get the knock onto Reno as well. Very great. Like, very smart play from Rumblers in this situation. Genesis, they have to make the run along the shoreline. They need to deal with 2 teams. Wait, did Mystery take out all of them? Oh, it's only 2. I was just thinking, wow. But he spots them from underneath the bridge. This is some interesting circles we've had, both in PL and NPL yesterday. Circle goes east. Envy, how did they get up there? Okay, so they clear their side. Look at how they play this one too. They force Genesis to push underneath. They go up, secure the perimeter, and now they know, with this team having pushed down, that we have this to work with. And then they can push in the middle, take the spot. Smart play by Envy. If you can keep your sides clear, then that's going to make it so much easier for you to like have focus. That sounded really weird. If you can if you can make sure that your flanks are clear and you only have to focus forward, then you just how do you word it? By limiting the amount of angles you need to hold, or the angle that you need to hold, there's a bigger chance that you don't miss something. Does that make sense? If everyone is looking in the same one direction with 8 eyes on it, there's a bigger chance of you spotting whatever you need to see, rather than had it only been 2 people that were looking that direction. I hope that makes sense. So everyone's forced to fight down at the backside of the compound. Oh my lord, that's a bad shift. And I guess actually Wildcard, they're in a good spot here. They have, if they force a player, like if they take Pistola out on this side, they can, if they can clear this entire ridge line, they will have so much room to maneuver around. That should be the place. Kickstart immediately running down to clear. This should be the play for them to make. If they can make sure this is open, then they have half the circle to themselves. Now they make the move. Great. Good play. Good play. They wanted to stay on top, make sure that no one was pushing from behind. That's also smart. Limit your threat angles, right? So you stay up here, make sure that no one's going to try and cross. Obviously, you have Tempo stop in the house, helping you out if need be. But now they push underneath. Smart play from Wildcard. This should be just immediately send them with you as well. The thing is, once they're down here, they can't see either of the compounds. So once they're in the valley, I guess you can say, they could be peeking from everywhere, right? Now you know that there's 2 compounds in play, so they have to fight each other at some point. But you have to constantly like sit in the bottom and look up on the ridge line and clear everything. Whereas if you're on this, like if you leave one up top, then you will have the ridge, like the vision along the line as well, makes it a bit easier. But wildcard, it's a 3v4, pretty interesting actually. Let's see now. New circle pops. Final one, I believe. Send us on the dot. Yeah, it does. Wildcard pushing up. They want the ridge line. They have a little rock there, I believe. And this, I think this is all going to be a matter of who gets the third party. Everyone is playing it slow. Nobody wants to be the first ones to engage. And who gets the chance to third party? If Wildcard can stay on the backside, force Tempo and Envy to fight, and then they can get to third party, this should be a Wildcard win. Ooh, Pistola, that's a dangerous knock. Oh my lord, they're fragging out Interrogate and Moody. Taking out Wildcard. Tempo, of course, we talked about it. If you can get the chance to third party, they're forced to focus down this way. Here comes Tempo Storm. The Tempo Slaughterhouse comes around the side. Look at the patience they play with. Sneaky peeky, sneaky peeky. The more knocks they're getting this direction, the more knocks that Envy get over here, the more bullets fired, right? And Tempo Storm can just hard commit to it. This is like Tempo Storm are so hard to deal with in these situations when they get to do those 4-man pushes. And yes, Tempo Storm had the compound for a while, but great play in the end by them to win the game. Were they one of the teams that committed north early? Yeah, so they stay up here in that circle. Sonics move down. They just move reaction based. You can see they move. They go up and take it. New circle pops. Send it up immediately, and they get to stick around. Great play by Tempo, and they end up getting the win with it as well. So that was game number 1. Interesting game. Again, if you guys have any comments, any questions, do feel free to ask in the chat. Now we go over to Miramar. I still think it's unfortunate that they swap between the maps the way that they do, but I mean that's a TO decision, I guess, when it all comes down to it. Let's see. Southern Plain. I don't think anyone is really that committed to looting far north anyway, so this should be a decent plane for most teams. And now we okay, so this is an interesting circle. I would not assume a lot of teams to stay on the southern side of this, only because it's so hard to find something up here that, like, I would much rather be up here and have to rotate south than sit south and have to rotate up here. Because the roads, we've drawn them a billion times before. The roads are, you don't want to drive on them pretty much. You're going to get killed. And as you can see, a lot of the teams already sending it north. Genesis actually crashing into Sonics really early on. That's interesting. So Sonics, they loot Power Grid. Genesis, they're stopping, scouting. And there are 4 guys in here, but they crash into them. I don't know if this is a call on not bad info, but wrong info. I don't know if H-Win knows that there are 4 players here, but had they been, like, if they know it's a 4-man breach, I don't think Genesis would have done this. Endemic coming close, they could potentially make a play here. Or maybe they just really prioritize this spot and they say we'll fight for it no matter what, but obviously it doesn't work out for them because they end up getting taken down. I don't think they would have committed to that if they knew that there were 4 guys in the in this compound. I think that's a misplay by Genesis. Why does NPL have less matches than PEL? I don't know. That's my answer to you. I don't know. It's up to the TOs, I think, with a little guidance from PUBG Corp to decide which what do you say? To decide how many games they play. Man, I don't know why they don't have as many. It's confusing to me as well. I think it should be a combination where NPL gets more games and PL gets less games. But I don't know what the reason is. Envy and E United, they're both forced into this cluster. We always draw it up. Very hard to play around down here, and they're forced to take fights there. They both end up leaving. As you can see as well, as I just said, majority of teams, I mean, both Envy and E United would probably have been north had it not been because the way the circle shifted here, right? The new circle does pop. It does go north as well. And this is not a place you want to get yourself caught in. Roads, low points, hard to play, don't want to crash into the city. Crater Field is yikes to be stuck in early on because they can be, like, people can be peeking everywhere over the top, right? There's so many angles for you to hold if you're stuck in here. They're a week behind, but they're playing less games too. Yeah, exactly. They're playing pretty much half the games of PEL, so they don't really have to, like, they want to finish. I think they want to finish around the same time rather than starting around the same time. They want to give players the same amount of time before the World Championship or World, what do you call it, Global Championship, rather than have NPL. Imagine if NPL had started when PEL did. They would be done next week? In 2 weeks? Yeah, they would be done 2 weeks before PEL. So PEL would have more time to play, I guess, prior to the Global Championships. So I think they just wanted them to end at the same time, which is why they start later. But everyone, high ground. Like, everything that's not a road is pretty much high ground in this situation. Of course, you want to commit to those compounds. We talked, if you want to get a more in-depth of this area in particular, I did, let me think. It was PEL. It must have been was it yesterday's games? Or the day before? I'm sorry, I don't remember now, but there was a day that had an end up in this. Actually, 2 games ended up and around here in NPL. Was it NPL? It might actually have been NPL. So NPL last week, day 2. I did a very in-depth talk of this whole area, and do feel free to go back and watch that if you're watching on YouTube. Also, if you guys are watching on Twitch. The thing is, I mean, I get what Envy is doing. They're sitting down here and trying to scout forward, right? Valley. Compound. Teams. They've seen these guys rotate down. They've seen their teams here. You can't cross here. You cannot go over here. So if you want to go, let's say if you're Envy and you want to go here. Let's just draw up a line for them. You cannot go through this. You can drive around, but they know there's a team down here, so that's not going to happen. So this becomes a no-go. We're talking Envy right now, right? You cannot drive through here. You know there's a team down here, so even if you do go into the valley, which technically you can, where are you going to go? Because you're just going to run straight through a compound. That's not going to happen. You know there's a team on the hill on the backside. What options do you have? Either A, you have around this way, but the circle is already closing, and you don't want to go into the city. You know there's a team on the hilltop, so they're going to hold you off. That's going to mean that everything from here becomes hard to rotate through. Don't want to go into the city, which is pretty much going to make this hard to go through. Again, what options do you have? Either Envy, do this, or you try to wrap around. They know for a fact that no one's going to be in San Martin at this point because, well, no one wants to be in San Martin and it's outside of the circle. So whoever was there will have left in either one of 2 directions or up here. I think even though it seems like a weird rotation to make, I think that's the only play they could make in this situation. Go out east. And that's exactly what they do. Either that or wrap all the way around, but they have no info, like no clue what's going on up here. So it's a do one or the other type rotation. Now it hard shifts north. They're still in the blue. They can go even further north around. I'm actually here. I would have thought that Envy would have crashed in to La Coparia, but they stay on the backside of it. That's interesting. So they don't want to commit to the city because it's hard to leave if the circle does shift away from there again. And it's still very far up on the northern side of the circle. So a big chance that, I mean, there's a billion different scenarios where the circle can go anywhere but La Coparia. So they don't want to get forced into the city. They play the north side. I think that rotation makes pretty good sense for Envy. Actually, really, really smart rotation. Let's see here. Circle pups. Of course, this, for those of you guys who don't know, big, big hill. Big, big uphill position. So if you're sitting down here, I mean, if you're Lazarus right now, you cannot play this while these compounds are still taken. So they cannot even crash this now because they will be there before the wildcard has even left. Which means if you want to rotate early, you can only go around the northern side. Thing is, from here all the way up here, there's nothing you can play. It's just death to go to this spot. So I'm actually curious to see what Lazarus does. They go over to peak. They want to know that these guys have left already. They take the spot. They have to just go up behind them, right? Either that or wrap around. Yep, go behind them. Not a lot else they can do. Play with what you're given and hope that it works out your way. Again, their only alternative would have been to wrap. And since it's late in the game now, or late enough that you can't do those crazy wild rotations, they're forced to take the fight up the hill. It's not easy. It's not what you want to do, but well, I mean, they make it work. They got themselves a spot inside this circle. Oh my lord, what is with hard shifts in PUBG these days? La Copraria is in. Envy, if they don't crash, I'd be very surprised. They do. And for anyone coming in from the south, these dips are going to be hell. Let me just... We got two teams on the northern side, and the only thing you can do from here, the only thing you can do in this circle, if you're south right now, is wrap around or play from behind. If you're Sonics, cannot just go meow. Like, that doesn't work. The terrain won't let you do that. It's uphill here, then you have these things, and then it's just steep downhill on the other side. Steep downhill on this side, right? You can't just full speed send it forward and crash into the city. Also, there's a wall here. I think it stops here, right? So it goes something like this. There's a wall here that you can't really drive through. Anyway, so it's not exactly the easiest. It's actually quite the opposite. Very, very difficult circle to play this one. So many teams are forced to take the fights on foot now because they know that there are a lot of teams around them. And you're fighting in the open more often than not. So Sonics, they're going to crash into the circle. Rumblers, they want to get around. SSG wants to get around. Rumblers, ooh, they might get a chance to third party on low-key. Little fortunate situation for SSG that Rumblers came around that way too. Everyone forced to wrap and take the fight on the edge. Of course, only one team can survive that. This seems to be Riot. Yep. Riot Squad gets to survive that one. Another circle hard shifts to SSG. That's not exactly the worst situation in the world for them. Situation repeats itself from before. You have to fight your way through. Except here, uphill push. Riot on top can look down towards you. You only have one getaway. That's this angle. And everyone's going to be holding it. Look at the way Rumblers are positioning now. They know. This is where teams are going to be coming from. We need to get the hell over and hold that. We cannot let them come through. So they go up to fight, but because they're in the valley, they get seen as well. And they just need to aggress. Like you cannot play passive in this situation. There's nothing you can do from there. If you're Rumblers, if you try to stay passive, they need to go out and get kills. If they just sit down here, they allow for all the teams to set up a full perimeter, and if the circle shifts away from that compound, they're dead. They need to make sure that they have the entire bottom to themselves, which is why they go aggressive. It's a scary thing to do, but I mean, at least for now, still 2 players alive. They managed to stay put, and now they have the line. It works out for them. Still in a horrible position. What did Riot Squad used to be? Oh, what team it was? I'm pretty sure. I'm gonna be corrected. Weezy was a free agent for a little while. Oh, I should know this. I should know this. This is actually embarrassing. I'm supposed to know these things. And I'm gonna get corrected in the chat now as well. I hope at least. They were a contenders team, that much I know. But Pertuk and... What the hell did they play with? What team did... Shook? Vicious? What's the... I'm thinking of one team, but I can't remember the name. They played with Shook? Okay. That was not the team that I was thinking of. I guess I was wrong then. Vicious or Shook? Okay. They were a contenders team that made it through. That's my mistake. I should know these things. So they're from NPLC and they made it into NPL. Yeah, I hope that answers your question, Jeff. Let's go back to where we were before. Rumblers. They now need to fight their way out. It's not going to be easy, but if they can stay put on the backside, should be possible. Waldo by himself, SSG, still 4 guys alive. Their main thing, of course, having played this position, is we need to. I mean, they're pretty much just mirroring. They're mirroring to exclamation mark program bubble. They're mirroring what we just saw from Rumblers. SSG, in order to play uphill here, they need to make sure that there's no one left on this side. They need to clear La Copraria, which is going to happen by itself because it's going to get shifted out from. They need to make sure there's no one there, and they have Valiant to contain the people up here. So they have 3 players dedicated to holding here. Valiant plays the back foot. And as you can see, because they get a player knocked, I believe they got a player knocked. Did they get him flush as well? No, just a hit. They're forced to push down this way because they know if we go this way and this is still in, they're just going to be shooting at us. Great play. Valiant is up close. So he does get the finish off. 1-1. Okay. So they're forced to play the backside. Perfect situation for SSG. They now need to hold. What happens up here? And they make a play up the hill. Great play. Vicious gaming. Yep. Vicious gaming. Riot, they can push over the top. They hold the ridge line from above. SSG can push in underneath. Sharp tries to make the run up. New circle pops out east. And fortunately for Riot, they're sitting pretty well in it, but they need to stay alive now as well. They cannot get knocked. 4v3, SSG against Riot Shield. Forced to push down the hill. They try to go aggressive. Lada goes down, Partuk goes down. 4v1, Mystery runs to blue. He goes down. Game over. SSG, gotta give it to them. Wise rotations and understanding of their threat points. They made the right rotation. They were sitting in the middle, right? Sitting in the middle. They knew this circle was going to be hard, and they knew that if they were sitting down here, it was going to be death. They needed to wrap. As we said when this circle shifted, either you wrap or you have to play from behind, because you cannot push through this. You have to play according to what these teams allow for you to do. They didn't want that. They wrap around the north, and yes, then this shift is really lucky for them, but overall, really, really smart rotations by SSG. Smart to keep Valiant up the hill. They have one up close in case they push over, and they have a player, like, he doesn't even need to do anything. He's just holding, and he has the info from down here if they're pushing down on one side. Sampa comes over, that helps them out even more, and works out for them. Great game by SSG. Really good game, actually. And now we go over to Sanhok, and I still feel really, really bad for NPL that they have to play 2 games of Sanhok, but it is what it is. I wonder if we'll get more games in the Northwestern Island, because I feel like we had quite a few games up there. Quite a few games up there last week. Or was it 3 out of 4 games ended up around here? Whoop, up around here. I'm actually interested now to see, just because last week had 3 or 4 games end on this island. What do I think about denied kill? It's a very, very kill-heavy system that we have right now. And until they change that, I don't think people are going to stop doing that. If you can deny a team a point, sometimes it can be worth more than trading 1 for 1. I think. If that answered your question. Taylor now lands here. I love it. Okay, so last week, if you didn't watch these games last week, either go back and actually watch the games, or you can go back and watch my analysis from week 1 of NPL, the Sanhok games. That was really, really funny. It was really, really funny because I believe it was Wooly and Taylor J. They had every single game, pretty much, other than game 1. They had a race. They were always racing who will be the first team that gets up here. And now, as I just said, United, you might as well just have a player land there next week. And now Taylor actually lands up here. The value of this is, well, we went in depth with it last week as well. But what the value of this is, if the circle does go anywhere over here, this is pretty much going to be in for 3 circles, no matter what. Go back and watch the last video. I went in depth with it there. Yeah, exactly. 3 out of 4 games went to that island. Now let's see if we get one more. No, we do not. It's going northeast. Tough rotations in. Of course, I'm still assuming them to go over. Wildcard might actually want to take boats, but then again, that is very scary. This is a very similar area to where it ended over here in PEL, but still northern circle on the eastern island. They're interesting. It's hard to rotate up and over. And also, as you can see, teams are very split in this area. So if you can rotate fast enough, you might actually be able to get in quick. What do I think of? I think it's stupid. I don't like it, CD. I think it's stupid. They made a point system. PUBG made a point system that forced teams to do this. And now they say they cannot do it. It's stupid. I don't like it. It's a good strategy. It's a good idea to do. So it's dumb. I'm not a big fan of it. It's their own fault. It's their own fault that they make this thing. Yeah, I'll explain it really quickly. So you can do, I think, there's a rule in PKL, the Korean League. There's a rule where I don't know exactly how much it is. I think a team can deny 6 kills in a week or something like that. I'm not sure exactly about the numbers, but I think it's something like that. Or else they'll get punished. Like they'll have points withdrawn from them. And I just think it's stupid because the point system right now is so kill heavy that it's pointless. Trying to stop team orders. I don't even know what that means. 9. I've never watched Formula 1, so I don't know what that means. But I'm sure it's the exact same thing. No, but still, it can wrap up quite massively, even if you're in a situation. Let's say a couple of last circles, and you got 2 players live over here, and you have to push into the city, and there's 4 guys just sitting here, looking up towards you. Like, you know for a fact you are not going to get a kill. Even if you get a knock, they're inside a house, you cannot get a flush. But you have to run this way into the open, even though you know you're not going to get a kill. You're going to get no points, you're going to die, and they're going to get points. Why not instead just die to blue and say, well, we didn't kill you guys, but you guys didn't get our points either. It's like when you play chess, you know? You play chess, and then when you're the last, like you're losing, instead of trying to win, it sounds weird, but I think in chess, I'm not a chess expert, by the way, I just heard this from other people. In chess, when you know you're not going to win, instead of just giving up and saying, okay, you win the game, then you try to force the opponent to go into a draw where you're not, like into a situation where you're not check or checkmate, but you also cannot move. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but that you can try and force, and then the other guy technically doesn't win because you didn't lose. Does that make sense? So it's your turn, but you can't move anywhere. And when you can't move anywhere, then the game is over. So that's the same thing here. Instead of saying, okay, you know what, you won, I'll just go into a position where I'm going to lose, then you try to force a situation where none of you win. And that's what people do when they deny kills. They say, okay, we're not going to get anything from this. There's no way we're getting another point here. But does that mean we're giving you free points? No, shouldn't be a rule. Unless if they make placements more valuable than kills as compared to how it is right now, then I think it's completely fair to do this. Yes, it might not be super viewer entertaining, but from an analytical perspective, from a person's perspective that is thinking about winning more than entertaining the crowd, it makes perfect sense to deny kills. I hope that made sense. United crossing where the river is the shortest. I said Wildcard might want to take boats. I don't know if they're actually going to do that. Scooter. Boats? Boats? I think Adam and Kickstart probably want to get over here and make sure that no one is on the other compound. No, seems like they're running. Okay. New Circle Pups, we're going far east. They need to get vehicles because they're going to be out in the blue for a long time. Are they actually swimming? I don't know what Wildcard is doing right now, but they're chilling on the east side, or the west side, I mean. Low-key coming in late, wrapping around. Oh, no, they do take boats. Okay. Wrapping around. Oh, Vanquish coming in late as well. Ooh, this could be bad. Vanquish could get completely eliminated here. At least 2 should go down, right? Yep, 2 guys eliminated. They know that the last 2 are up here. Did Wildcard get eliminated too? Yes, they all got blown up. Rotated way too late. Lazarus still just waiting. Smart split, honestly. Lazarus, they played this one smart. Now they have everything controlled here, right? So they can push over that way. Pretty smart split by Lazarus to not go aggressive in the center. Speaking of center, Zenith, Tempo Storm sitting in the middle of it. This is going to be a priority compound. SSG already making the move. Yep, they're going to go down and take that. I would have assumed Lazarus to make a play earlier, but they're going to stick around on their side. I think they're staying because they know it's clear, even though K-Mine did manage to get in behind them. Circle goes south. And where can you go from here? I mean, none of these teams are going to move anywhere. Not because they don't want to, but because they can't. So if you're on the edge right now, you're just forced to fight. You're forced to crash into something on foot. Odds are you're going to die. If Rumblers or Ghost make it inside this circle, I would be very surprised. K-Mine can do it because he's a solo, so he can sneakily make his way around. New circle shifts, they get up on the northern side where there was somewhat of a quiet period, and then again 39 alive in phase 5 on Sanhok. Everyone's gonna die now. Endemic, they can chill in the middle, hold their ground. Envy, they're gonna do the exact same thing, let everyone fight, and they will make a move later. They're probably just proning on each their little rock or tree. In the meantime, everyone else is forced to take fights. Tempo Storm trying to clear their edge. They know that this road, like if they can contain this road, they might be able to wrap underneath and play that spot. So they're starting to make a push down there. Makes perfect sense. And it's just edge fighting. Everything is edge fighting on Sanhok. Center is quiet. Edge is massively under fire. Rumblers actually make it all the way in. You know what? That is impressive. But again, avoiding fights. Low-key cross, they take the compound. Low-key fight, they push up. They get a knock onto one, they hold the angles. Play it slow, hold each your angle, and slowly make your way forward. Really smart playing by Rumblers. Slowly move in. Slowly move in with the edge of the circle. And they get into the final circle. Moody somehow is not seen. Able to stay hidden by the other guys. Waldo and Micro. Ends up going down. Tempo 3v2. Oh my lord. That must have been a nade, right? Boom. Yeah. Same time, they both get naded. Moody trying to stay put on the north side. Is he going to deny? Is he going to try and get a kill? Nope, not going to happen. He's going to go down. Tempo wins yet another one. Interesting game. It's always tricky with these northeastern circles. And I'm sorry that I'm not going super analytical in these situations. It's so much third party. Look at the edges. From the very start, look at all the edges. And the amount of fights that we see. Boom, new edges, fighting. New edges, fighting. And quiet in the middle. That's what it is from start to finish on Sanhok. There is a way that you can play the edge, but you have to get there very, very early. And I haven't really seen other teams than some of the Koreans do it. But it's pretty interesting. Now let's see. We're going to go over to game number 4. Boink. Again, Taylor up on the hilltop. Ooh, Eastern Circle. Okay. Sorry, just needed something to drink real quick. Eastern Circle. Now, of course, the water is in play, and I'm curious to see what Tempo Storm actually does here, because Face they play the same spot in PEL, and they rarely ever stay when they're shifted on the edge. Like, they value getting in rather than like they wouldn't stay inside of Pineland. They'd probably move up, something like this. But I'm interested in seeing if Tempo actually up to stay rather than cross into try get kill. Also, Ghost could be sticking around on the southern side to try and see if they can get anything crossing. But no, they're moving. Same thing with Tempo. Makes perfect sense that they're shifting up early. Everyone's fighting for center compounds because they're expecting the circles to go there. Hard committing to fights really, really early on. Genesis is just taking cards and going, we need these compounds. We need them early. And they're forcing a fight with SSG. They get themselves a little side of it, but they end up getting players knocked. I think it's only H-Win and K-Mind live now, right? Yeah, it is. Wildcard, circle 1. They don't need to worry too much. They can rotate in late. United, same thing for them. Only 2 players alive, I believe. Yep, only 2 guys alive. They have to rotate in late as well. Vanquish, they're playing the southern side. And right now, remember, right now you can still go anywhere, the circle. How do we go? Wait, it can, right? No, it can't. Oh, sorry. So it has to go away from water. It has to go away from water. But there's very little water in anyway. So, oops. So it's limited where it can really go. It shifts up in the middle. And around Bahan, I don't know how you say that. It's very open, like a flat area below. So nobody's going to obviously play down here. And Quarry is also in play, which you don't want to be forced into. Because one thing is, yes, you can go into Quarry, but it's pretty difficult to get out of it again, especially when it's on the eastern side. On the west, you have more escape routes. Whereas to the eastern wall here, you can't get over. I think there's only 1 or 2 spots you can get up from here. So you pretty much only have an exit here. Or if you go into the middle road, like up here. And that's not exactly easy to do. Do I know why circle always touching flame path when it pops out? I don't think that's a rule. Bubble, I think that's just coincidence. And I don't know if it always does either. I mean, I've seen planes be north on Erangel where the circle goes on military. And the other way around. I've seen really fast southern planes where the circle goes far north. So I think it's just coincidence. It's not something that happens all the time. Solo players on the edge. Again, Quarry is going to be really hard to push through. You need to either make your way around the northern side or move underneath. And we're going over these Sanhok games pretty quickly. And I'm sorry about that, guys. But it's simply because normally there's a lot of rotation stuff to talk about. And that's where having the map screen becomes really efficient. But Sanhok is just so much more about fighting and positioning in fights and maintaining your free space around you, which you can't really go that much in depth with when we only have the map available. Like, we need to know, how was he playing this position? Was there a tree there and a tree there and then a rock down here that they were playing around? All these things, and we can't really do that from a map stream perspective, unfortunately. But sometime when I get access to actually using clips and VODs in my analysis as well, I would love to do these things more in depth with fighting as well. But it's mainly rotation based and positioning based as far as the bigger picture, and more than the macro or macro fight things. Because right now, I mean, we have 5 teams here, and all we can say is that Zenith, they need to contain, like, they need to make sure that nobody gets out of here but them, but at the same time they need to secure themselves a spot in the next circle. So you can see Patreon moves up, Ghost Gaming, they're gonna come down to third party, makes perfect sense. They can make a play and then push further up the hill. Now they're gonna get seen. They're just waiting. They're waiting for a team to push out this way. They set up a camp on the backside. Now they can push further around the side as the circle is shifting in. They want to make sure that they have the right side of the compound, right? So it's uphill. Here you can come up, or here you can come up. And what they do is, once this is out, they put all their focus on this instead. And make room. Like, they make room, right? The bigger of a buffer, the more room you have to work with, the more time you have to react to certain situations. So if a team comes pushing at you from 100 meters away, you can go, oh guys, they're over here. And then you know that you'll have, I don't know, 3-4 seconds before the nades are starting to fly towards you because they're too far away still. Whereas if a team is 50 meters away or a snake is right on top of you, then like, oh, he's over here, and you could blow up as soon as you call it because they could have seen you seconds earlier. So the bigger buffer zone you can make, especially on Sanhok when it's so close together, everything, the better off you are. Everyone in competitive PUBG are really good with DMRs. If you can constantly shoot at people, tag them, force them to stay at a distance, it makes it so much easier to keep control and also to prevent third-party situations and stuff like that. Like, you're much more in charge of what you do rather than a situation where you can't really dictate the outcome of anything. Ghost here, get third-partied. Low key, like they I don't know if they allow themselves to get third party because they know that low key is here, but they never commit to one side. Either you commit here or you commit here, but because both low key is pushing in and Envy end up pushing in as well, they just end up getting caught in the middle. You can see Nate, I think it's an 8 that comes in, they get knocks, they come into flush, nothing you can do. Had they made a committed move to separating either on one side or the other, could have gone differently. Again, we don't know exactly what the terrain looks like there. I mean, at least I don't. I know it's uphill in this direction, but I don't know the exact terrain, and it's very situational. So Stab, chilling on the northern side. He's going to go down. Not chilling any longer because he's dead. Lazarus trying to play the north by themselves. Interrogate goes down. Ooh, interesting. Lopes trying to push over, former player of Cloud9. Very nice guy, by the way. And a 3v2 now. Pax and Lopes. Who wins this? Oh, 1v3. Lopes, what can you do? Are you going to deny? 1 down? Nope, not going to happen. Lazarus wins it. Allo securing the points. And our New Zealand player Luke gets himself a win. So that was Sanhok for you. We're gonna swiftly move on towards the fifth game, because I don't know. I get frustrated sometimes trying to analyze Sanhok games, just because I will see teams like even though Miramar and Erangel are two very different maps, I can see teams sometimes like they have certain playstyles, but on Sanhok, so many teams are forced to drop everything they know about playing competitive PUBG and just react to what they have in front of them. And it becomes like it's just a very, very different map to what we're used to seeing. Australian, sorry. Yep, that's what I meant. Sorry, Joby. Same. I know you're not allowed to say that when it's Australia and New Zealand. But yeah, that's one of the things that I find a little frustrating with Sanhok. But well, teams will adapt. They'll have to figure it out. From what you have seen, do you think Sanhok is more random, or the best team tends to? Nope, it's random. Manfius, it's random. pretty quick answer on that one. I mean, it's not random, but it is pretty random. Every team can get a win on Sanhok, and every team can get 0-point games on Sanhok. And yes, you can say that, but Toby, that can happen on all maps. Yes, that is true. But you just see more teams succeed frequently on... Like, you see more consistency from teams on Erangel and Miramar than you do on Sanhok, at least in my opinion. Now, let's go over to game number 5. Southern's Plain, well, not Southern Plain, like South to North Plain. Southern Circle to the east. Los Leones is in the middle. 3 teams sharing Los. That's interesting. It's not something we see too often. But 3 teams sharing Los Leones. SSG, La Bendita split. Also not something you see that often in other leagues. At least you normally see like wider splits between in these areas. But interesting nonetheless. Low-key not having El Sahar in their split. They're going to take the junk. I guess you can call it junk split. I don't know what you'd call this. But somewhat of a junk split on this side. Exclamation mark. Yep, thank you, Dave. Lazarus playing on the northern side, doing their little splits. Should be pretty easy rotation in from them. And I mean, overall, shouldn't really. We can draw it up for you. Obviously, not going to rotate through the water. That doesn't really make any sense. We're just going to draw a line down here. If anyone took a boat in this circle, I would be very surprised. As far as the northern side goes, I wouldn't expect anyone to go down here. Maybe Sonics could push over towards Graveyard, but I still wouldn't really expect it. Here, teams will be rotating down. They'll most likely be going over here as well. Wouldn't expect anyone to wrap all the way around, but could. I mean, it's possible. As far as rotating around the backside, everything's pretty much open all the way down to Chumacero. So as you can see, I mean, there we go. Plenty of rotations possible for these teams that are outside. And we only have, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams that aren't actually already inside the circle anyway. So you can see through green. As I said, Sonics might cross over towards Graveyard, which is what they do. Through green. Endemic goes through green. So only Sonics crash over. And they didn't even go Graveyard. They went down towards the crater edge instead. And rotated around. I think they actually rotated underneath, but same. Next circle, though, that's interesting, because Los Leones is going to have a big impact on this next shift. Even more so now than what you probably would have thought it would. So that's in the middle. I don't assume anyone is going to crash Leones. Like Envy might stay on the edge with Vision out, but I wouldn't assume anyone actually going in. Yep, they're going on the edge anyway on the other side. Yeah, they're going over there. So a big portion of the circle that is going to be not completely, but for the most part uninhabited. You see, right? They're going to go in from the south, but they're kind of stuck in a situation where that's again the issue. We talked about this earlier in the PEL cast. You don't want to get yourself like if the circle shifts away from Los Leones, you don't want to be caught on the wrong side. Because A, you don't want to rotate through. If you're not already inside the city, you don't want to rotate through because you have 0 info on what's inside. And odds are that it's just too scary to commit to driving all the way through the city, especially later in the game. So if you're in Riot's in this position, sitting on the southern side, you don't exactly have a big portion of the map, and you think, oh my lord, if this one goes north, this rotation ain't gonna happen. We're gonna be dead. I guess we should draw it up the other way. Like, that's not gonna happen. We can't just crash into the city late if it goes center, because outside there's gonna be other teams there, so that's not gonna happen. What we need to do is either A, now we wrap all the way underneath, but this is normally occupied, even in these circles, so that's gonna be a no-go. I draw this the wrong way around, but you know what I mean. When I drew X, it's like I don't do this, right? So what they do is say, let's commit Los Leones before anyone else does, and then... I've seen that clip, Dave. I saw that clip earlier today. Oh, the karma. Ooh, the karma. I didn't know what they meant by it. I thought it was just fun trash talk, but the fact that, yeah, that's just... I've seen it. I've seen it. Don't trash talk, guys. You can do it for fun, but don't, especially when you, like, yeah, just don't. So if we cut across the middle right now, you got a split on one team, two teams, kind of 3, 4, 5. So right now we have 11 teams. 11 teams north, 5 teams south. And Los Leones is currently, we can say 2 teams, inhabited by 2. But look at how big a portion of the circle Los Leones actually take up. Now let's see. Next shift. Oh, wow. That is bad. That is really, really bad. And I think this is exactly the situation that Riot Squad wanted to avoid. Like, this is why they didn't want to be still on the backside. Because once this happens, crashing into Los is going to be suicidal. They need to be here already. Unfortunately, now they are. But this is a really bad circle. Okay, let's see. We have 62 alive now. My bet is, depending on how these teams that move in now, if they stay on the edges, rather than crash either center on the west side, or if they wrap all the way underneath, I'm expecting at most to have 40 people alive by the end of this circle. But it all depends on how the teams that are coming in now, they play. Because if they just sit on the edges to hold, and look at how many teams are out here. They need to get into the city. They can't all wrap like this because of the crater, and they can't all wrap underneath because they simply don't have time to. This is going to be interesting. E United go for the concretes. Genesis forced to crash in. So as you can see, no one's actually staying. Everyone's going center, which is a little interesting. We might get more people in than I initially thought they would. Zenith sent Walter underneath. Roth is by himself. It's going to be hard. Tempo can't really do a whole lot from their position. They need to wrap the other way. And then this becomes a cluster on the northern side. Because this field, there's nothing you can play. That's a bad drawing. Sorry. This field, there's nothing. I guess we can add this as well. There's nothing you can play as long as these compounds are in. And this is in as well. So they're all forced to fight in the blue. We have 1, 2, 3... like 3 players in the blue and a lot out as well. Oh my lord. These circles are legit just trolling players right now. Field, you cannot play. Field, you can play, but I don't think anyone's really in a position to get there. Unless if Vanquish rotate all the way underneath, which I would be surprised to see. And I don't even think they can play that as long as this compound is actually in. It just becomes a city fight. Vanquish, go underneath. I like the rotation. Play from behind. This is YOLO, suicidal on the northern side. Smart rotations, good scouting as well. Zampa comes up, gets the spot secured. No vehicles, guys. We gotta send it. They come in. Everyone's forced into the middle. Rumblers, they manage to take out Wildcard, but they're gonna go down because of circle damage. Cherry and Lust, they're forced to make a push on foot. Keenan is proning. Sneaky Snakes gets kills. This is a tough circle. Really tough circle. I want to see this next one go out to Endemic, just for the fun of it. Okay, so it shifts north. We're still maintaining enough of Los Leones in that people can make plays, but it's just horrible. It's just horrible. Tempo, they now have like 1/3 of the circle for themselves, including Keenan, but they know he's up there, so they're probably gonna have at least one player dedicated to holding. Everything else becomes a cluster, in the in the center. And honestly, everything north of here is areas that Tempo can see. Circle goes away now. Okay, that's interesting. I want to see how Tempo Storm plays this one. It goes back down south, and of course, Riot, they can just push the last two in. Low key, I think this is the yeah, this is a building, but this is like all the construction area. So they need to either wrap around this way or try to, there's like a little dip here, push down and then wrap around out here. I don't think they would be crossing the road up here. They might, but there's not really anything they can push in that direction. So I would assume for them to either wrap around or try and push into this building. Well, actually do run back. Interesting. But I just don't see what, like, I don't know what they can get inside the circle over here. We'll see though. We'll see what they do. Tempo, either you crash down here, but as long as the high ground and the B, like compound is in, you're not going to be able to do anything. So crash. Like, what do they have for options? Let's see before they leave. They know this is taken. They know this is unplayable because this is taken. They can't crash the hillside because they know there are people here. Because this is in the 5-story, that limits pretty much this entire side of the circle for them. Because this is going to be out now, but they have to leave before they do. So they could have tried to cross up and play in here, but they would still be seen all the way through by United. So this is pretty much the only play they can make. Let's see. Sharky underneath. Yep, that's the only play they can make where they're not visible on all the sides. Great knock. Ooh, who got that knock? Because they got it after getting up. Great knock. Great knock onto something. That's what they needed. Now they have to commit to the push. Yep. Crispier down. In the meantime, crazy chaos on the east side. Wolf and... Okay, they actually disengage. Crispier gets knocked. All of a sudden, look at the control that Tempo has now. This is going to get shifted out. So what was before unplayable on the north side, they know it's theirs. Because they were the team that came from here, right? They know that all of this is theirs to play if they want to. And they also have just guaranteed this area. So Tempo Storm's sitting really well in it right now. In the meantime, you have all these teams. I mean, they're not going to get a chance to shoot at a whole lot. But they need to... Yep, exactly. Perfect play, Sharky. They need to make sure that no one can wrap around. This was their area. They were the ones that came from here, but it's not gonna stay their area if they don't manage to maintain it, right? So Sharky is dedicated to holding this side, interested in the fact that he's actually playing it alone, but they also want to make sure no one crosses here. Sharp comes back to help. Sampras playing the center spot. Now the circle shifts on the edge, but I mean, it's kind of as center as you could expect it to be. United out on one side, still 4 guys alive. P1E gets to play the south, and again, I want to go in depth with things, but it's a map stream, so you're limited in what you can really do. United try to get the reses up. They managed to get both, actually. That's interesting. Sharp, they can just contain the building. They know the final circle is going to end outside. Contain, hold. Now there's only one exit left. Push up. Railroad down to blue. Great game by Tempo. They were one of the teams, remember, let's go back a little. They were one of the teams that, yes, they had the split, but once the circle shifted, again, same thing with Desperados earlier today in our PL analysis. They were one of the teams, they didn't get the circle. Look at how they're sitting in this case. When you see this shift, you're not thinking, oh my god, of course Tempo Storm are going to win this game with 3 players alive. That is a very, very hard thing to do. But they play it smart. They get, like, they want it. I think initially they run it to rotate south, but they pretty much start rotating. You can see them getting into their vehicles right as Sen start rotating as well. So they end up getting out on top of each other. They force rotate to the northern side. Circle shifts away again, but they go up. This was the play with Sampa scouting further forward. They get themselves into the circle, and by doing that, they avoid this entire situation. Look at this. They know everyone is forced to take these fights, but Sampa sends it over, scouts down, sees that it's open, and that pretty much, that's the winning move right there. That combined with their breach down towards this compound, like that set them up for the win. Avoiding this whole, as you can say, bottleneck, like choke point, and getting on the inside of it, like managing to wrap underneath that confrontation, and managing to find a safe spot on the backside, knowing that E United had the 5 story. Very impressive. And very good job by Tempo. That's game number 5. One more game left on the day, and we're going back to Erangel. Let's see now. Let's see. Let's just zoom it out. We'll change the text so people don't get confused. Game number 6 of the day. I'll just take a sip of water. Okay, yes, yeah, exactly. They played it smart. They played it smart. Now let's see. Center plane. Everyone should be able to get to where they want. Did he run over people? Rello and Loki. North George, South George. Endemic. I don't know if Endemic is aware of this, but there's a lot of vehicles up here. And here. Why? Why would they ever contest vehicles here for North George? Normally what you'll have happen if you're a North George team is that the team will jump up here. Especially if you know that the Severny team never leaps further west than shooting range. Jump early. There's like a hot spawn up and around here somewhere. Take those cars, drive down, get looted. I'm not sure what the idea is of contesting vehicles. Because you know, if you have a South George team and they want to commit to that, there's nowhere else they can go for vehicles than here. So why even bother contesting? Instead of just letting them have them and you can go up here and take cars. That's surprising to me, but it seems like, I mean, it's something and Wolf don't even have loot before they get in here. So that's a lot of time spent, losing one player too, on not really gaining a whole lot. So we got Rumblers and we got Zenith on the southern side. We'll slow it down a little. Circle-wise, I mean, there's enough for everyone to take. Really, there's not a whole lot to discuss on that. United playing a two-way split. Surprised to me that they commit to Alamo rather than, I call it liquid compound. I don't know what other people call it. Surprising to see this split. I think there are splits in this area that are more valuable, but I think they also know that there are many teams around, and they don't want to be too thinly split. Sonic splitting, Lazarus splitting, Genesis they're gonna split to hold a potential push in from over the potato hills. Now let's see. I like the rotation from Loki over the top. Again, avoid having to confront or get confronted with the water. But now they might actually be better off going back the other way. Yep, they just turn around immediately. That's a smart rotation. And the bottom side, Rumblers, they come over from military. P1E, they're still down there. I don't think Rumblers are expecting that, but they're getting their bikes. And the issue with this new circle is that look at how much is open. Once all these, like, as long as these compounds are in, this, you got riches in the open, but you don't want to go out there this early. And, oh, I'm going to draw it up for you as best as I can. Right. We can actually draw up more. It's more like, yep, G. These two areas, everything that is within our red's figures here is practically unplayable. And look at how much space that takes up in the center of the circle. So for teams to get anything in the middle, you got apps, you got school, you got two compounds down here, and you got Rostock. But you know it's going to shift away from water 2 circles from now, so odds are you won't be sitting in Rostock. This is looks like a goose. Yeah, I guess so. Maybe. I don't know. A goose talking. In any case, there is a lot of terrain that you can't really go to, and teams obviously realizing this, they have to commit early to making rotations. Genesis trying to cross over, they end up losing one player. K-Mine goes down, probably stays alive. Lazarus lose 2 trying to cross. I'm not sure exactly why they would send 2 further. They come down here. They stop. They continue. What were they hoping to get, though? School? Why not just keep all 4 there? Are they actually crashing school? Was that what they wanted to do? This late in the game? That is, I think that's, again, we talk about over-aggression or getting too greedy. I think that's overstepping. They should just have kept their 4 guys there and then push together later. Because that's unnecessary. There's no way in hell school is going to be open. And if you're going to crash school, crash with 4, not 2 players. But they get penalized. They get punished, I guess you can say, from doing that. Low-key, again, they were wrapping back where they came from. So they're going to have plenty of room on the west side. Genesis, only 2 players alive. Able to stay put in the south. Of course, we still have a huge potato hill area with only 3 teams in. Ooh, this is going to be fun. Because, again, we know it's going to shift away from water next circle. So, again, plenty of area in the middle. That is, now it's more playable. Because this is shifted out. And this is shifted out. And also this. So you can sit on the back foot. But with Watertown and these 2 compounds still in, if you go out into this area now, you have to, I mean, there's no way of getting out of there again. You can find a dip, you can chill, but you won't be able to get away from there. Rostock still open, of course. Again, it's going to shift away from water. Teams know this, and I think what's going to be the scent point, like the last resort spot to go to, is going to be apps for most teams. E United crashing in, Envy crashing in immediately as well. Gen, they might actually want to do the same thing here. Yep. I'm wondering, what is Loki going to do here? Are they going to go in as well, or are they going to sit back on the southern side? Because they're going to take doghouses. That makes more sense. But 4 teams crashed in. As I said, nobody's going to commit to Rostock. They know the circle's going to exclude the water. So they're going to commit in. McCoy tries to get back to safety. Not going to happen. And again, we wanted to go away from water. We knew it was going to as well. And that's why people commit here rather than here. Even though that's a big city, more space available technically, they knew it was going to shift away. And that's why they go down here. No one is in this compound right now. Rumblers, are they going to crash? Or they're going to take the shack. Okay. Lazarus go from L or J, whatever you call it. It kind of is a J more than an L, but there's 2 of them. So I think one is J, one is L. I don't know. They go down to take, again, this is a last resort compound too. Park your vehicles in the back. Hope they don't get popped. Most likely they will. You can chill for for as long as you want. Sen, they take control. I like this play from Sen. So they're sitting in the top right now. Look at the way they're split. They have full control in pretty much all directions on the southern side. And they know that as long as we can keep this perimeter, as long as we can make sure that no one can cross through here, we have the entire forest to play from. Because there's no reason, like no one from here is going to push up. It would make no sense for Loki to start pushing this direction again. No one from here is going to push in. So as long as we have a vision in this direction and in this direction, maybe actually just in this and in this direction, as long as we can keep that clear, just this circle, later there's going to be no one pushing up into this area. So they hear the vehicles come in from Tempo, immediately commit to the fight. I like the play. A knock comes in towards Loki. That forces them to stay on the back foot. Tempo, they just claim. Look at this aggression. Why are they giving them space? I just complimented you guys. But now they back off. Huh. Okay, so they run off. Tempo get all the room that they would have wanted. And now they're forced to dip. Tempo come, Tempo take. Tempo get what they wanted. Okay, fair enough. Tempo, they know for a fact. I mean, this is, I'm hardly super expecting this. They know that this compound is going to shift it out. It's going to get shifted out from. They know there were people in here from earlier having scouted that, and they have to stay up here and hold this. But at the same time, they can't risk getting third-partied by this compound, or this Loki's team. So they keep Sampa down. I would assume he's going to contain, while Sharp and Sharky try to hold above. As a matter of fact, no, that's not the case. They take vehicles. They go back for cars to push down, and they're going to get hard third-partied now. Perfect timing from Riot. Yeah, that's not a whole lot more to it, really. Perfectly timing on the third party. I would have anticipated Tempo to contain instead, but they're in a situation where if they don't deal with them, they're going to get third-partied by them. If they don't deal with them, they're most likely going to get third-partied by them. And also, they probably knew that they were down to 3 players because one was knocked earlier. So once they see the damage done, they go back for the vehicles. They know the circle shifts in. And then I don't know if it's a mistake on their part that they get taken down, or that they, I don't know. They had to commit to one fight, and it was just, They couldn't do a whole lot, unfortunately. So Tempo down to just Sharky. Sen able to stay alive with a couple of players. And this, of course, I mean, they can't push into this. And these guys probably won't be able to push into this. So wherever the circle goes, if you're not in at this point, odds are that you're going to die. Most likely, at least. Oh my lord. That's a that's an apartment shift. One guy crashing, dead. These guys ain't gonna make it in. These guys ain't gonna make it in. Like, there's no way apartments are gonna allow for more teams to crash in. Two-way split, two-way split, two-way split. And they're just gonna hold. They know what their focus points are. No one is gonna crash from one apartment to another right now. These guys looking south. These guys looking south. These guys looking east. These guys looking north. These guys holding schools with school. I mean, there is just no way anyone is getting into apps now. At all. SSG, good luck crossing. I would like to see it happen, but I highly doubt it's going to. Baha is by himself. Might get J-Sank back up. Circle shifts out east again. Lazarus, they're clapping their hands. They can stick around for a little while longer. They can't really do anything from where they are, but at least they'll get placement points. Like, if they peek anything, they're most likely going to die. And now we're starting to exclude more and more of the apartments area. So Pride and Interrogate try to push over to their teammates. SSQ, that's not their name at all. That's Sonics. Try to go in. Still all but one apartment in. Lazarus, they knew they were going to get shifted out from, so they go down. Tingleton might be on the roof, I'm not sure. You can't play roof on any of these buildings. This one you can. That would actually be a good spot in this situation, to have one on the roof, because they know they have the high ground. So they should be able to play safe from up there. I'm not sure. I didn't watch this game, so I'm not sure exactly where they're positioned inside the house. But look at this. I mean, you know what? I want the final circle. Wait, is there one more circle after this one? I'm not even sure. But I wanted to do this. If there is one more circle, I just wanted to shift out on the eastern side, just because. I mean, everyone is forced to stay where they are. No, it's not. It's going to finish center. But it's going to finish outside. United, they go team up. Moody tries to go out on the back wall. That's actually a smart play. I like that play. Sonics, they're going to force to crash in. They have the back wall. They need to be able to contain, and that's, of course, not going to be easy. Shuro pushing out spots. One goes down himself. And this is just chaos. Like, this is a chaos situation. They're forced to push. I'm actually surprised that they don't all commit to the same building. But Wooly goes out. He wants to be outside. You don't want to get stuck. That's the issue, right? As soon as we're here, you can only leave through these 4 doors. You can see people want to be out early. They don't want to be stuck inside. So Shuro goes out to get vision. Not going to happen. Who actually ends up winning this game? Taylor, Balefrost alive. Okay, so E United ends up winning the last game. There was nothing anyone could do. I would have loved to see one team just have like 15 smokes and still be alive over here. And as soon as they have to leave, just go like pew, pew, pew. That would have been amazing. But there's nothing you can do in this situation. It's just a cluster. Apps fight. No one ever gets further right. Other than Shuro tries to go out. He gets visible to the houses. He goes down. Good game overall. I don't know exactly how many kills United were able to get. Okay, so I actually do get 11 kills. Most of them having come from inside the houses. But they were doing good job staying alive, maintaining their splits for as long as they had to, and fortunately the circle goes down on their side rather than up on the northern side. So good game for United, winning the last one. Solid 21-point game. And that's the last game of day 1 of week 2. So if you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much for tuning in, and see you.